Unlike permanent wetlands, a dry basin design does not preclude the use of the land for recreation activities, such as golfing, walking and cycling. So it's a dual purpose solution and avoids expensive standalone options. I want to emphasise that we are currently completing further assessment in collaboration with Council Stormwater Modellers. This work ensures floodwater from the Waiwau Road catchment can enter the golf course efficiently, be stored during the peak of the storm, and then be released in a controlled manner after that peak. By doing so, we protect the lives and properties while fulfilling the vital flood detention function. To date, the 550,000 cubic metre volume has been based on information provided to us by the Council. What sets our concept apart from the Council's permanent wetland concept is its ability to coexist harmoniously with the Council's broader goals. We enhance the site's resilience by incorporating sustainable eco-plantings and creating interlinked detention areas while we maintain the 18-hole golf course. The addition of a perimeter walkway and cycleway along the northern and eastern boundaries further improves public accessibility, aligning with the Council's commitment to shared community spaces. Our plan is both pragmatic and visionary, delivering flood protection, recreational value and ecological enhancement without disrupting the current use of the site. It represents a balanced approach that recognises the need of both the environment and the community in a collaborative way. My respectful recommendation is that the committee can adopt our dual purpose plan as the preferred proposal for consultation. Our intention is to achieve a solution that not only safeguards against future flooding, but also preserves a highly valued public asset for generations to come. And to just look at, obviously they've been cycling through as I've been talking, just talks about the different concepts that we can achieve with this flood detention level. I'll pass it back to David.
Right, so just briefly, we still need to test the flow rates and assumptions that have been used by WSP, the Council's engineering advisors, but this will enable both detention of floodwater and for protection of life and property and retention of the 18-hole public golf course. And there are the ecological and regulatory benefits we've listed. And of course, can be delivered without the need for notification. The latest statements from Healthy Waters is that it's now, this permanent flood storage is now being described as one. So no longer the only option, but now one of them, which means, and that's why we're here to present you another one. But there's still concern in the public messaging that there is a desire to develop a transition plan for golf members to go to alternative facilities. So there is that, I think, philosophical issue in play. Thank you. I'll pass over that slide. I'll leave you to reflect on that. Again, this, we say that our plan addresses the community concern that a secondary anti-tackman golf course brief takes Healthy Waters beyond its flood protection remit. And that these are the words that we're respectfully suggesting you might wish to resolve if you are in agreement with the what's been presented to you today. But we certainly welcome questions from you. Just got now 5 minutes, time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Ryan. So questions, Wayne?
Sure. So I've got a few questions, Mr. Chair. I'll just make the observation first that we've had very little contestable advice on this issue. I don't think we've had any workshops. That's my understanding. I checked that out with officers or a site visit against a background where, as we've heard, this is the most popular golf course in New Zealand. So I say that because I would hope that you allow for a few questions, more than would normally be the case, because this is our most important opportunity to get some contestable advice. So I guess the first question I've got is from a costing perspective, given that what we're doing here is providing for, I think, a 1 in 250 year event. That's correct? 1 in 250 years, something like that. Over the course of time, obviously the golf course is going to continue to run as a golf course. Will there be any maintenance costs attached to what you're proposing as compared to the permanent wetland that is being otherwise proposed?
The beauty of having a dry detention basin is that the maintenance costs would fall within the same maintenance that the golf course itself would be otherwise doing. When you take that out and put a wetland in its place, the golf course would not necessarily be maintaining that. It would then rely on the council, Healthy Waters, to maintain that as
and
as
it
an
would
asset.
be correct to say that the golf course funds itself. It's sustainable. It washes its face.
That's right.
Okay. What about the comparison in capital cost between what has been proposed by officers as compared to what you're proposing?
So we haven't yet been able to get into that level of detail, but I would imagine that the capital costs would be comparable, at least, or maybe slightly cheaper. The reason why I say that is because there is still the volume that needs to be excavated somehow at that site. 550,000 cube needs to be stored there. Whether or not that's a wetland or a reshaped golf course, it's still a cost, which is the same. Where the difference might come in is the fact that we're reusing golf course infrastructure already, and therefore there could be some efficiencies there. But as I said, we haven't yet had that time to digest the costs, but we will, and we will present them.
The other question I've got just goes to best practice. There are other golf courses around the world in other countries that are like your proposal. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. The image you're seeing in front of you now has been designed in a concept level by Christine Kerr from Kura Golf Design. She's been involved in a lot of other international golf courses where this has been successfully implemented, and the most recent one she's been involved in is down in Christchurch, where there's a dual purpose of flood storage, mitigation, and a golf course.
Okay, and just in terms of effort, I appreciate the months of effort you've put in, some cost. Will your team benefit from more assistance, more collaboration from Healthy Waters, conceivably access to the flooding modelling and so on? Would
Yes.
that help?
Yes, it would. Yep.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks. John?
Just a couple of quick ones, gentlemen, if you don't mind. You mentioned that this is the busiest course in Auckland, New Zealand, I imagine. How much of that is attributable to this precise location? I mean, the epicentre of the North Shore. I'm assuming the notion that people will just somehow go somewhere else is not really a realistic one, is it?
Yeah, that is correct. The analysis done by the Tegman Golf Management is that they come to the conclusion that it's irreplaceable. That really is, the other courses are under membership capacity and years of waiting lists, and this is a public course which is for casual golfers from all sorts of genders and ethnicities, and it's regarded as extremely playable, extremely welcoming, casual dress and all of those things. And it just happens to be in a highly accessible location. So it's clearly the number one of the 13 public golf courses on public reserve land. This is clearly the top of the list. Chamberlain's second after that, and then I wouldn't dare to guess how it pans out. But clearly it's the busiest in New Zealand and most popular in Auckland.
In terms of your dual purpose that you've put up as an alternative proposition here, how helpful is the existing site for that type of work? And I mean, what seems to me, I was out there yesterday, seems to be largely flat with a slight incline up towards Sunnybray Road end. It would seem to me to be a site that is well suited for that kind of detention you had in mind.
Yeah, that's right. It's not only the fact that it's a large open space, which isn't constrained by things like buildings and those sorts of things. It's also the position in the catchment is useful because it's able to intercept water from the Wairau Road catchment and divert it from the creek there, store it, and then discharge it. So it is in a good spot in the catchment location as well.
Morris?
Yeah, well, just a quick comment first. Well done. This is incredibly well researched and so on. So my question follows on from that, and you don't need to answer it because it's a bit cheeky. Have you spent a lot of money doing all of this work?
Yes, it's been a month full time for a dedicated team that was stood up very quickly and brought in the right expertise to do that. So yes, a lot of effort has gone in, and that priority was to accept the bottom line that we have to protect lives and properties. That's non-negotiable, and so this alternative design achieves that, but saves the existing course.
So all this work with civil plan consultants and so on, that you paid that yourself?
The North Shore Takapuna Golf Limited is our client, but they also engaged other expertise, civil planning and civil engineering, hydrological engineering.
Okay.
But there's also, and Acura design, of course.
Well, I wish that every submission we got in the public submission space had this amount of research and work done before we started to think about it. So well done. And I did pick a comment up. You haven't had a lot of cooperation from us with things. Is that right? Or you haven't even sought it?
Oh, we've certainly sought, and there's been various discussions with staff, and I think they've been as helpful as they can, but I'm told they were advised to use Lagoima, which has slowed us up. So that's why we can't answer the question, for example, about confirming the flows, management of the flood flows.
That's very interesting. Okay, thank you. That's it for me.
Okay, so no more questions. Richard? Cool.
Kia ora, Chair, and thank you for the presentation. And I think we are looking, worked with Andy, with the Chair's rec on further investigations of this option. But just on the engagement, my understanding is that Healthy Waters had met with you guys a few times on different designs. Like, this isn't your first proposal, is that correct? I've had heard of several different.
No, we've this has been presented to them. This dry basin has always been the design that we've presented.
Okay. And also the other thing around, because I've been in a lot of the meetings, did you know the local boards in 2023 did actually ask for Healthy Waters to investigate many options, including AF Thomas, so that's almost 2 years. But Healthy Waters at the time said they weren't sure if this was an option, but did you know that the local boards both asked specifically for this to be investigated? It wasn't the other way around.
I do recall seeing some of the local board minutes where they passed some resolutions, but whether they were motivated by the board or by advice they'd received from Healthy Waters, I don't know.
Okay, Shane, sorry about that, mate.
Yeah, it's all good. Thanks, Chair. Yeah, look, this might be a pretty fundamental question, but I guess I'm just a little bit confused about the whole affair. So is this currently being leased by your club? I thought it had expired. I'm not sure.
Yes, it was a 33-year lease. North Shore Takapuna Golf Limited, who is the incumbent lessee, so it's a commercial lease. The lessee, this particular lessee, has been there for 16 years. When they took it over, it was only playable 8 months of the year. So a lot of money has been invested with, drainage and a lot of additional planting. A lot has gone on there. The double decking of the driving range, all the latest technological advances that go with driving ranges. So a lot of money has been invested, all the while paying the highest rates in Auckland for any golf course, and funding, I'm told, on average about $300,000 a year in revenues from the lease rentals.
Thank you. So, thank you. Can I just be clear? So it's a current lease right now?
Sorry?
So it's the lease currently operating?
No, it's expired on the
Okay.
24th of February.
Okay.
And it's now under a month-to-month lease, an invidious position for anyone in a commercial world to be put in.
I gotcha. So this leads to my sort of next question, which I suppose is also fundamental. I mean, this being a local reserve, isn't this a decision of the local board, and have you been discussing it with them?
Yes, it is, and we did meet with the local board 3 years ago when the what was called the Golf Investment Plan was floating around, and the local board was strongly against it and opposed that one. But at the same time, the local board requested the relevant staff to commence lease negotiations with Takapuna Golf. So it was 3 years ago. The Parks Department staff didn't act on that. And then 2 years ago, we filed an actual lease application, which was informed by extensive evaluations and all the other information that Parks Department needed for commercial leases. That still didn't proceed. We were told that we would have to wait the outcome of the local parks management plan, which we did. That plan was adopted just a year ago, and so the conversations was struck up again by Takapuna Golf's management, and some discussions were had with parks staff, but again nothing happened, and they ran out of time, and were then told only a few months before the expiry that they would be put on a month-to-month lease. So it went from 3 years to 2 years to 1 year, starting off initially with the local board requesting staff initiate leases. If that had happened, that would have been extremely commercial of the council, because you know that this is a very rare sort of property asset. It's quite a unique commercial operator one has to find. A specialised operator of a golf course is you know, they're not that common. So we really felt the local board made an excellent resolution when it did 3 years ago.
Thank you. And look, I wouldn't want to usurp or be seen to usurp any local board role or decision making. So maybe when staff present on this, they can give advice as part of their discussion. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Shane. Greg?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you for extending the question period. Welcome. A couple of questions. Really helpful to have these maps. I've just been studying the one with the cut and fill here, and it looks like you'll end up with some surplus that you take off site. In terms of the Lagoima information that you have to date, I was just curious if you knew what the surplus spoil is in the council model. Do you have that type of data?
On the first slide, on page 3, there are some handwritten numbers there in the bottom left right of the slide, 350,000 cubic metres of cut and approximately 100,000 cubic metres of fill to be relocated on site. That is their plan as we understand it at the moment.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. I guess it might be helpful. Obviously, the council has their modelling of what it's going to look like afterwards. Is this something you'd ideally like this run through the same modelling, so it's kind of apples for apples?
Correct.
Yeah.
So during the Lagoima process, they have provided us with some key information that we've asked for, and we're generating our own model right now, where we can hopefully be able to overlay that design and create what we need. That proves the concept that the 550,000 cube can be stored in half the golf course. So we're confident.
Very good. And in terms of, obviously, that also is quite obvious about the amount of area that's involved. So the closure of the golf course. So how, in terms of, amount of time and closure
I would
and
imagine
interruption?
that you would be able to do it in a staged manner, where you have 9 holes open while you do half, and then flip it back over. So you can do 9 and 9.
Right.
That's reason 6 of the 10 reasons we're asking you to prefer the Takapuna Golf's design.
Very good. Right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Christine?
Thank you. Through you, Chair, we've got the local board's appearing before us today. So I'm not going to delve into local board issues. I thank you for the comprehensive material that you have provided me, so I don't want to get into the detail of that. So indulge me, Chair, on this question. In the past, at different periods, golf courses have been in the firing line because there is a perception that it's somehow elitist and golf is for a very small section of the community. I took great interest in Chamberlain Park, which is the second most used public course, and was very interested to discover that 61% of the regular users were Pacifica, and of that, they were very much younger than people realise. So we know all the health benefits, we know all of those things, but what I don't really have a clear understanding of for Takapuna is what is the profile? Have you got the breakdown of your regular users in the same way that we've been able to have it established for Chamberlain Park?
No, it's a very good question. There is some data. We don't know about ethnicities, but there's obviously, I suppose you call it anecdotal reporting because everyone passes through the underpass and they're seen there. So, so it's true that Takapuna Golf is like all the other reported aspects of golf in terms of crosses all age groups, all ethnicities and genders, and the case Takapuna has this appeal because of its casual use. I should say there's only a very small club membership, and it's declining because the owners, the operators, want to keep this purely as a casual golfers for the public golfers. And it's this, wide range of socio-economic groups, with Maori, Pacifica, Asian, all evidence. But I think, I'd like to think there's ways we can capture that information.
Well, if you can, I would be welcome receiving it at some future point, obviously not today.
Yes.
And I suppose my last question, Chair, is you will be aware of the challenges financially facing the council right now. So we're not in the mood to fund projects that are going to have ongoing challenges for us. And I'm not talking about necessarily parks or anything of that kind, but just in general. What I'm interested in knowing, given the comprehensive way that you've gone about making the submission, you say zero cost to ratepayers. To what degree can you give us that assurance?
Yeah, those are for the maintenance of it.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about ongoing OPEX and maintenance.
Yes. Look, that's absolutely confident about that it's zero cost to ratepayers because it's part of the commercial lease arrangement. Once we can get that reinstated, it's the dry basins are mowed and taken care of, and that is all just part of the rental that comes, revenues that come back to the council. So the current golf course maintenance team will manage these dry basins, and the self-funding model under the commercial lease results in that no cost and ongoing maintenance costs.
Thank you very much, and Chair, I'm happy to move a vote of thanks for the submission.
Okay, thank you. Last one, Mike Lee, online.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, everyone. My question to the presenters. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for the presentation. I'll just proceed my question with a comment. It does concern me, given the regional significance of this facility, that though quite rightly, Healthy Waters and council officers have consulted with local boards, this is a completely new project for me, and I think given, as I say, its regional significance, I don't think that's particularly helpful for given the decisions we've been asked to make here. My question is, quite appropriately, this matter is being dealt with by the Transport, Resilience and Infrastructure Committee, but I guess in this situation, officers are looking at the resilience and infrastructure of stormwater management. overlooking the resilience and infrastructure of the region's recreational facilities, of which golf is obviously very important. And so what would be the consequences in terms of the reduction or removal, destruction of a major part of this particular golf course in terms of public demand for outdoor recreation, particularly in regards to golf? Is there other, would the other golf clubs in the region be able to take up the demand, or would it result in long waiting lists for membership and so on? Grateful if you could help me with that.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Lee. Look, as I was mentioning earlier, that analysis has been done by North Shore Takavuna Golf and in discussions with North Shore Golf and Auckland Golf, and the feedback is that it will be very difficult to relocate these casual golfers to public courses, and indeed if they were able to fund memberships with other clubs, we're told that there are waiting lists there. So basically, you know, I think we've used in our 10 reasons, I think I've used the word irreplaceable somewhere in the PowerPoint, that seems to be the case.
Thank you.
Okay, so no more questions. So gentlemen, thank you very much again, and great to have you here. Is there any discussion? No, then Chris is moving, Richard is seconding to receive and to thank. So all those in favour say aye, and against carried. Next up is on the same topic, generally.